Hey, welcome back to Let's Play Guitar and welcome to the first Improve Your Playing Masterclass here at Patreon. Now before I start, I just want to thank each and every one of you for becoming my patron. I really appreciate your support. Now in this Improve Your Playing series, we're going to discuss ways that we can improve our playing abilities. So each month I'll be making lessons on how to improve upon different techniques and different styles. I'm sure they'll help you along with song lessons that I post on my channel. Alright, so to start off, this month we'll be looking at a fingerstyle technique that I use a lot in my fingerstyle arrangement lessons. We'll learn how to perform a thumb slap and slap and strum. So these are percussive fingerstyle techniques, so it seems like we are playing guitar and percussion at the same time. When I first started finger picking, it sounded really beautiful to me, so I was just doing some basic finger picking patterns that sounded beautiful, and then I came across a different style of guitar where you add percussion into it, and it sounded like, the one who was playing the guitar with percussion techniques, it sounded like they were an advanced guitarist, and I always wanted to learn that. So it's not that difficult, it's actually pretty easy, but it requires a lot of practice. So that's all you need to do. Let's start by learning a thumb slap, because this technique of thumb slap is gonna help you learn slap and strum as well, because that's included in that. So to perform a thumb slap, as the name suggests, you're going to slap the string of the guitar with your thumb. So what's happening here is that you're using this part of your thumb, alright, this part over here, to slap, as in hit the string. Now as you can see, we are focusing on slapping on the 6th string, okay, so the top string over here, and even though you might hit lower strings, you want to make sure that you're hitting mainly the 6th string, because that's going to give you the sound. So when you slap on the stop string with this part of your thumb, once again, okay, this part of your thumb, like this, the string hits the fretboard and mainly the fret wire over here, okay, these are the fret wires, and that's going to make that percussive sound resembling that of a snare drum in a drum set. Now I want to discuss one important point while doing a percussive fingerstyle. And this single tip might just take your fingerstyle playing from here to here, okay? And it's about movement. So I get a lot of viewers and students tagging me on their Instagram posts and videos where they show me their progress on a particular arrangement that they're learning from my channel. And one thing that I notice in a lot of those videos and that hinders their performance is the right hand movement, and especially on the percussive arrangements. So while performing this thumb slap, what you need to make sure is that you're doing a wrist movement instead of an arm movement where you're taking your whole arm away from the guitar and then, pushing your arm in to make the sound. That's incorrect. So I'm going to tell you the difference. This is incorrect. And this is correct. So you can make out that while doing the correct version, I'm using this wrist to just, twist my arm like this, just a little, using the wrist muscles over here, instead of using the elbow and taking the whole arm away and then pushing it in to make that sound. So this is very important for you to learn, and a lot of people make this mistake. Now you have to understand why we are doing this, why are we using the wrist, and the reason is to limit and to minimize the distance between your right hand and the strings. Why? Because we're not doing just a thumb slap. We're playing notes right after doing the slap, and we're picking notes and we're picking strings right before we do the thumb slap. So this wrist movement ensures that your hand is never too far away from the guitar. Okay, and if you're doing the arm movement, then you're going away and you're going in, and the tempo of your arrangement is not going to look nice, which is why a performance, whenever you're performing a fingerstyle arrangement, it's not just about whether you're picking the right notes. It's about when you're picking the right notes. Now let me give you an example. We're going to play a particular piece over here. Let's take this little exercise over here. So this is the right way to play this exercise. Now let me use an arm movement and show you what happens when you're picking the right notes, you're picking the right strings, but just you spoil the tempo by doing maybe an incorrect technique of using an arm, and that may sound like this. Because you're taking too much time, and one way to fix that could be by limiting the distance between your hand and the strings, which is why it's best to just use the string, the wrist movement, wrist muscles. Okay, so like this. So that's one important tip, and make sure that you're using that wrist movement and not taking your arm away from the guitar too much. Also, while using the wrist movement, you're not going to feel a lot of pain. You're not going to feel any stress or anything. And while using elbow movement, you might feel a little bit stress on the elbow, and you might not be able to play for a long period of time. So this is very easy to do. It doesn't take a lot of stress in your arm. Okay. So I hope all the points are clear on how to perfectly perform a percussive thumb slap on your guitar. Now, to practice, you can use some exercises to play this technique and to practice this technique. So we're going to start by picking the open string, second string open, and doing the thumb slap. You can use a metronome as well if you want to be right on time. Okay, so second string open and doing the slap, and then right after playing the second string open again. Add more notes into it. Play a G chord, 3rd fret on the top string, open on 2nd string, open on 3rd string. Now, one thing that you can see over here is that we don't want to mute the sound of 2nd and 3rd strings when we do the slap. So it shouldn't be like this. Okay, your slap should not mute other strings if it's not required in the arrangement. Okay, so in this particular part, we don't want to mute that. We want to play it like this. Okay, that's why the wrist movement again comes clear over here. If we were doing the arm movement, then it would go like this. It might mute other strings as well, which you don't want. So try not to interfere with other strings when you're playing those notes over there. Now you can add more notes before the thumb slap and after the thumb slap. So that will be a little more complicated. It can go like this. So same, just put 3rd finger on 3rd fret of the top string. Play top string and 2nd string together. Play open on 3rd string. Play open on 4th string. And then do thumb slap. So right after that, you're going to play 2 more notes, which is 2nd string open and 3rd string open. So, and just keep repeating this exercise. So first, if you're not able to do it that fast, just slow it down. Do it like this. So what you want to make sure is that you're almost very comfortable with doing the thumb slap before you start learning the slap and strum technique. Okay, so just be very comfortable with doing the thumb slap. You don't want to be muting the strings, muting other strings, and you want to be able to play notes right before the thumb slap and play notes right after the thumb slap, and you want to repeat that cycle to be able to make sure that you can do it for the whole arrangement, if that arrangement has slaps for the entirety. Okay, so be completely comfortable with that. Make up your own exercises, and also you can find obviously fingerstyle arrangements in my tutorials which apply this technique. So that is it. That's how you perform a percussive thumb slap. Make sure you learn or you review all the points once again that I've told you, especially the hand movement technique and the wrist movement technique which you want to do. Okay, so now we're going to learn how to perform slap and strum technique in fingerstyle guitar. So if you have skipped parts of this video to get to this point, please go back and back to the start actually, because you have to learn how to perform a thumb slap properly before learning how to play a slap and strum, because those steps are included in slap and strum. All of the steps in thumb slap are included in this slap and strum technique. So what is slap and strum technique? As the name suggests, you're still doing the percussive thumb slap, and at the same time you're playing either a single note or multiple notes depending on what you're playing in the arrangement. So remember, it's at the same time. Alright, so since this is a complicated technique, the best way to learn anything complicated is to break it down. So first, we'll only look at the strum part, and you should just focus on the strumming part and practice that. In fact, that's the way I learned this technique. Okay, so if you notice in fingerstyle guitar, our hand is slightly curled up like this, right? When we are picking strings, the hand is slightly curled up like this. And what you want to do is, you want to curl up your fingers a bit like this, okay? And use your middle finger, okay? Your middle finger to strum on strings 1 and 2. Okay, so in this case, we are strumming on multiple strings, which is easier to do than strumming on just one string. And we'll come to that part later, how to strum on just one string. So for now, curl up your fingers like that and use your middle fingernail over here and strum the second string and the first string like this. Okay, multiple times. Try that, just using the middle finger. So what you're doing is you're literally pushing out your middle finger, outward like so. You're giving it a push, and you're striking the nail of your middle finger on whichever string you want to play. So in this case, the first and second strings together. So keep practicing this part until you're comfortable with this particular exercise. Okay, giving it a push with the help of middle finger. Just the first two strings. Now, once you're comfortable with that, what you're going to do is you're going to add the thumb slap over here. So slap the string. So let's just add thumb slap without doing the strum. Exactly the way that I showed you before. Okay, so remember all the points that I showed you earlier to perform the thumb slap, including the wrist movement. So what you get when you do thumb slap is this. What you get when you do the outward strumming with the middle finger is this. And ultimately, when you're comfortable with both these points, you're going to do both of them together. So what's happening with the slap? You're doing the wrist movement like this, and you're pushing out your middle finger to strum first two strings together, which gives you slap and strum. Okay, now once again, this makes it even more clear why we want to use the wrist movement. If you were using the arm movement and doing the slap like this, when you're using the elbow to move your arm away and then pushing it in to do the slap, which is the wrong way to do it. Like I told you before, there is very little chance for you to strum along with that. I don't even know how you're going to do it, which is why we're using this the wrist movement, and the arm goes like this, using the wrist to twist the arm, twist the hand like this. Okay, so once again, practice that. Okay, now keep practicing this little part. It's going to take practice, it's going to take a lot of practice, and it's all you want to do for now. So don't compromise on the technique, don't compromise on the strum technique, on the slap technique, or anything like that. Okay, it's important to hear both of those two techniques, strumming and slapping, at the same time. It shouldn't sound like this. Okay, have to be together. Now, next step is to change the strumming notes and practice strumming on different strings with your middle finger. Remember, the slap is constant. That doesn't change at all. What's changing is only what you play with your middle finger, which depends on what note you want to play in the arrangement. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just add third fret on first two strings. Okay, we're going to use a simple G chord over here. G chord, okay, first two strings, third fret, and we're going to play the same technique and practice with that. Now in the next exercise, what we're going to do is we're going to practice strumming on the third string and second string. Okay, so we'll still use the same G chord, and where this is going to be open on third string and third fret on the second string. Okay. Okay, so you're hearing the third string open and second string third fret. Now listen carefully here. The slap and strum technique is dependent not on what you just do with your right hand, but also what you do with your left hand. So in this case, especially when you're strumming, the middle strings, anything like second string, just third string, or second and third strings together, it's very much possible for you to accidentally hit other strings as well. That's where the technique of left hand will come in. So in this case, when I have to strum on just second and third strings, what I'm doing is I'm muting the first string. If you notice, you can only hear third and second strings, even though I'm strumming on the first string as well, because I'm using left hand technique of by which I mute the strings. The third fret on the second string, the ring finger is placed in such a way that the flesh of my ring finger, okay, this part is going to just rest on the first string in a way that it mutes the first string. So you have to practice that. Even though I'm picking both strings, I can only hear the second string. Why? Because the flesh of my ring finger is kind of muting the first string. Alright? Which is why when I do the slap and strum, and I told you to strum on second and third strings, that's exactly what you hear. First string is being muted. You can't hear anything because of the flesh of the ring finger. So that's again, so that's why I said the slap and strum technique involves both the left hand and the right hand. So you want to practice that and make sure that you're not hearing the first string. Okay, so that's your second practice that you want to do. And again, this will only come with practice, and you can't do it in one day. You're going to have to practice it over and over again. And this is actually the part where most people struggle the most. This will determine whether your arrangement sounds beautiful or it sounds, kind of messy because you're hearing, unwanted notes. And once again, this technique of muting lower strings or muting unwanted strings is especially important when you're slapping and strumming, and you're strumming on just the first string, or just the second string, just the third string, just the fourth string, and so on, or just second and third strings. Alright, so that's why I said before that it's easier to do a slap and strum on multiple strings than to do it on just one string. We're going to now cover doing slap and strum on just one string. We did slap and strum on first two strings, we did it on second and third strings. Now we're going to do on just one particular string. Okay, so here we go. We're going to try doing a slap and strum on just the first string. So first string is left open, and that's going to sound like this. Okay, multiple times. You can hear you can hear no other string except the first string. So this is because I've practiced it so much that now it's my muscle memory has improved. The best way to improve your muscle memory in guitar is to just practice over and over again with the right technique, of course. So I've given you the technique. Now what you're going to your memory should increase as to you should with your eyes closed, you should be able to strum on one particular string that you want. That will only come with practice. So here we're first two strings together, and here is just the first string, and here is just the second string. Okay, so for that, forget about the slap, forget about the thumb. Just try doing that with your middle finger. Okay, isolate it, break it down, and forget about the slap. Once you're comfortable with the strum part, then add the slap and strum. Okay, so I think I've told you everything that you need to know about slap and strum. Now all that's left to do is for you to practice on different exercises that you can create on your own, or some of you can find out arrangements where I have included the slap and strum technique, which is a lot of different arrangements, and I'm gonna now tell you more practice routines that you should do to improve on this technique. So now what I'm going to do is I want you to practice hammer on with slap and strum. This hammer on with slap and strum is used a lot in my arrangements, and this is also something that you should be knowing how to do. Alright, So let's try that. We're doing a hammer on from first fret to the third fret on the second string. So first, it's easy. Look, it's easy to pick the second string like this, going upward motion. To do that, we're all used to doing that. What you're going to practice is doing it with the strum, going downward with your middle finger. Just keep practicing that. Do it on different strings. And then once you're ready, add the slap along with that. And once again, my first finger on the left hand, the flesh of that first finger is covering the first string. It's muting that, which is why even if I accidentally hit the second string while doing the slap and strum, you're not going to hear that at all. Alright, and again, you can practice doing a pull-off with slap and strum. Okay, so let's try it on the first string, 3-to-1 pull-off with slap and strum. Okay, you should be practicing that as well. Now, one more trick I want to show you. I showed you how to mute the lower strings with the help of the flesh of your finger. How do you mute the upper strings? Look closely, what am I doing? My index finger is muting the second string. How? I'm using the first string. My index finger took over the first string, the notes that I want to play. Just this upper part of my index finger, this part, is slightly touching the second string, making it mute. Whenever you slightly touch any string, it's going to go mute. If you press it, only then you will hear the note. When you slightly touch it, it's going to go mute. And unless you're doing it on the fret wire, don't do it on the fret wire because it's going to become a harmonic. Not necessarily over here, but you know, let's say somewhere over here. So never do it on the fret wire. Okay, so alright, so both parts are important. Accuracy on the right hand where you hit just the first string, and just to make sure you want to be able to, just to make sure that you don't hear other strings, you want to have that ability to mute other strings as well along with you, which I just told you by just slightly touching other strings. But don't focus on that too much. Your focus should also be on the accuracy of the right hand, where you hit wherever you want to, which string you strum on. Okay, it's all going to come with practice, and the biggest way to do it, as I told you before, is to isolate, break it down. Don't do the slap, just focus on doing the strum part, and then when you're ready, apply the slap as well. So just how we did some practice routines where we included notes just before doing the slap and right after doing the slap, we can do the same over here. We're going to include notes just before you're doing the slap and strum. We're going to include notes just after you do the slap and strum. After all, when you're playing a whole arrangement, that's what it's all about. Okay, so let's do this little practice routine over here. Okay, let's break it down. What's happening over here is I'm picking third fret on the fifth string and open on the first string together. Then first fret on second string, open on third string. Okay. Now slap and strum. The strum is happening on first two strings. Alright. And right after that, like I said before, notes before slap and strum, which we've done. Now notes right after slap and strum, which will be first fret on second string and open on third string. So those are the two notes after slap and strum. So all of that will give you this. Okay. So again, you can remove the slap and do this. Okay. But you cannot pick it. That is not practice because you're not strumming it. So you have to strum it with the middle finger. Remove the slap for now. And when you're comfortable with that, try adding the slap as well. Alright, Okay, before we finish this, I'm going to give you one more exercise over here. It's a little bit more complicated. We're going to include a hammer-on. Okay, as I said before, you can include different techniques on the left hand while doing the slap and strum. So let's include a simple hammer-on and play this similarly like this. Okay, so second string, first fret, and third fret on fifth string together. Open on third string, second fret on fourth string. Now doing a slap and strum, we're going to do a hammer on from 1 to 3. Now, since we are playing the C chord, while doing the slap and strum, we are hitting the third string as well. And that's intentional. That's completely intentional because it works to my advantage, because that note is included in C major. Okay, but I'm doing the strum in a way that the main focus is on the second string. But if you hit third string, that's also completely fine. And this happens in a lot of my arrangements where we hit other strings as well. That actually works in our favor because we are playing notes that are in the chord. So, and then third string open and fourth string open. Fourth string, second fret, sorry. So, alright. So you can make up your own exercises and also practice arrangements that I have on my channel that include the slap and strum technique, because once you stumble upon one particular arrangement, you'll find the slap and strum part on sometimes 2 strings at a time, sometimes just 1 string isolating it, and sometimes there'll be a hammer on, sometimes there'll be a pull off. So you can find all those different techniques in just one arrangement. Okay, so I've given you everything that you need to know to learn to play this slap and strum technique, and also how to play the thumb slap. So I hope you liked the lesson. What I wanted to know before I sign out is that nothing is learnable in just one day. You can't learn anything, especially if it's a little complicated, in just one day. The best way, as per research, the best way to improve your muscle memory is to have short practice sessions day after day. Okay, so you can't be like, I'm going to practice this for 1 hour on a Sunday and then not practice anything for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then jump on it once again next weekend. Okay, that's in that way you're just practicing your guitar for 4 times in a month. Instead, what you can do is just practice for 10-15 minutes, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 days. You can take 1 day off if you want. So short practice sessions day after day, that's more important. Okay, long practice sessions, it's all right, but then if you stop playing the guitar, then that's not going to help you. So that's the best tip that I can give you to improve your muscle memory. That is it for now. Thanks for watching the lesson. I'll see you guys next time. Till then, take care and goodbye.